Coming up on tonight's broadcast, an upcoming OSU theater production, the vice president of the Susan G. Komen Foundation resigns, and an American embassy in Syria closes. All that and more right here on the Beaver News.
Good evening and welcome to your Tuesday night edition of the Beaver News. We're glad to have you with us. I'm Mary Johnson.
And I'm Hayden Wilcox. For those returning viewers at Channel 26, there is a chance you might remember shows such as No Big Whoop, The Jay and Trey Show, and Late Nights. If you've stuck with us for that long, you may be wondering what else we have in store for you. Well, I'm here to introduce the studio's latest show, Oregon State's Orange Studios, also known as OS Squared. The new show, spearheaded by Nick Charbonnier, a sketch comedy show, is set to come out once every 2-week basis. When interviewed, Charbonnier said, quote, "The show is hysterically funny. Every time I watch it, I'm literally crying from laughter. You guys gotta watch the show." End quote. Charbonnier, along with his friend Kevin Rowles, started OS Squared as a continuation of their previous work at Southridge High School in Portland, where they created S Squared, a small sketch show set within the boundaries of the high school. Now working at Oregon State, Nick and Kevin have assembled a team of multi-talented individuals who write, direct, star, and edit and produce their own sketches. This team includes Nick, Kevin, Otis Athiantha, Jake Nelson, Shake McKinnon, Joe Bevins, Ben Wagner, Kyle Flashman, Carson Duggan, Josh Garhoffer, and Alex Trevine, among others. OS Squared's first show can be found on the KBVR homepage, and the OS Squared's next show is set to air next Monday at 8, right here on Channel 26.
New research supports the idea that suspenseful games lead to greater enjoyment of ads, reports Michael Bendez of the Daily Barometer. This study was a collaboration between OSU's business professor, Colleen B., and the University of Oregon's business professor, Robert Magdal. In the study, college undergrads were shown footage of a high-suspense basketball game or a low-suspense game, and the favored team either wins or loses. Halfway through the game, 2 ads were shown. 2 more were shown at the end. The third group came in just to see the ads. Each participant then rated on how they enjoyed the ads. Basketball was the choice of sport because the score can go back and forth quickly. The post-game suspenseful ads are rated higher in the groups watching the suspenseful game. In general, both groups rated suspenseful ads higher than the non-suspenseful ads. Finally, the ads viewed at the game's halfway point were not rated differently by the groups. Future studies may investigate, in contrast to tense sporting events, effect on other types of ads, such as humorous.
Designed as a tool to help doctors, physicians, and dietitians around the world, a new device, just over 2 inches wide, is revolutionizing the health industry, and it's made right here at Oregon State. As supported by the university, the device is known as a life and activity monitor. It is a wearable sensor that can track an individual's vital signs, such as respiration and heartbeat, all the while hardly being felt by the wearer. At 2 inches across, the sensor is light, durable, and inexpensive, possibly making next-generation models disposable. Able to provide doctors and physicians and dietitians with a continuous stream of vital information, such as cardiovascular activity and respiratory fitness, over a long period of time, this Life and Activity Monitor is the next step forward in future diet and exercise programs. Scientists predict that the product could also be incorporated into a disposable bandage sometime in the near future.
Tomorrow at 7:30 in Withicum Hall, the University Lab Theater will have its first showing of Feeble-Mindedness of Women, reports Kim Kenny of the Daily Barometer. Feeble-Mindedness of Women is a play within a play that tells the story of the first American woman to win a Nobel Prize in Science. The role of Gertie will be played by Madison Shirley, a freshman in environmental science. Playing opposite her in the role of Carl Corey is Sam Thompson, a junior in psychology. Megan Grassi, a senior majoring in theater, will play the modern-day group's director named Mildred. Chris Peterman, a sophomore majoring in theater, and Matt O'Brien, a graduate student in political science, will play multiple roles ranging from rabbis to college professors to research students. Kevin Ahern, a professor here at OSU, was able to help teach the cast how to use the equipment for those who didn't know how. The show will run throughout the week, and the last show will be on Sunday at 2 p.m.
If you're an avid reader here on campus and you're into real classics of our time, where can you go? To the campus library, of course. With over 1.4 million volumes of different books alone, the library has the biggest collection of reading material for miles around. However, a new addition to the library may just make it more unique than ever. Thanks to generous contributions from Mary MacDonald and Francois and Ellen Gilfillan, the MacDonald Rare Book and Manuscript Collection at the library has become what it is today. The MacDonald Rare Book Collection has been growing over the years, adding books and manuscripts dating back anywhere from the 13th century to the 17th century. As reported by the university, books such as the original edition of On the Origin of Species, written by Charles Darwin, and Pliny the Elder's Natural History can be found in the collection as well. As reported by the university, the oldest piece of writing is a stone tablet receipt, no bigger than a bar of soap, that was written in 241 BC. If you would like to see the collection, the library offers tours of the compilation from 8 to 4, Mondays through Fridays.
Oregon State College of Forestry has adopted an open access policy that joins the College of Earth, Oceanic, and Atmospheric Sciences and the Oregon State Libraries, encouraging researchers to make their published research available to the public. The information will be disposed in an institutional repository that is operated in the library. OSU Libraries was the first to adopt this open access policy. CEOAS has also joined. What makes this open access policy a challenge are the agreements that researchers strike with publishers who accept their work for publication. They have noticed that using the Scholars Archive has been working. One student's work has been viewed 206 times and cited 21 times. Faye Chadwell, and Donald and Delpha Campbell, University librarian at Oregon State, says, quote, "It means greater visibility for Oregon State University." We're heading into our first short break, but don't go anywhere because when we return, we have a sports update and a look at news around the nation. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Beaver News right here on KBVR. Another ancient discovery by scientists here at OSU has shed more light on the past, 20 to 30 million years in the past to be approximate. While on an excavation trip in the Dominican Republic, researchers from the university found an ancient species of bat flies surrounded by amber. Tree sap at one time, the amber has preserved these bat flies for tens of millions of years, creating a perfect time capsule tomb for these bugs. More importantly, however, the bat fly, a species that still survives to this day, is a species of fly that is parasitic only to certain species of bats. In addition to the perfectly preserved specimen, scientists were also able to conduct DNA tests that concluded that the fly was carrying a since-extinct strain of malaria. The presence of this malaria goes to further enforce theories on the adaptability of the disease in the early Americas.
On Sunday, the Heartland Humane Society hosted their 9th annual Wine and Whiskers fundraiser for the city of Corvallis, reports Amanda Antel of the Daily Barometer. Anna Lopez, Heartland Humane Society's development director, said, quote, "This is the first time we've sold out a week before the event. We're very excited," end quote. The event was a silent auction followed by a dinner, followed by a live auction. The purpose of the fundraiser was to not only raise money, but raise awareness also. The goal was to raise $70,000, and they are confident that they will exceed that goal. For donation information and drop-offs, go to Cat's Meow Thrift Shop, and item purchases go to support the Heartland Humane Society.
After a terrible discovery by a store clerk, a school in Los Angeles has had its entire faculty fired for the time being. As reported by CNN, a CVS drugstore employee was processing a batch of photographs when he found something disturbing. Pictures of small, blindfolded children in compromising positions led the employee to notify local authorities, in which turn led to the arrest and prosecution of local school teacher Mark Burnt. Days later, another teacher from this same school was arrested under charges of fondling 2 underage girls in his class. Because of these two incidents, the entire faculty of the Miramont Elementary School has been dismissed until further notice in order to prevent any further surprises, as Regional Superintendent John Deasy said. Parents throughout the school are outraged and frustrated by the betrayal of these teachers and demand that harsh repercussions be set upon those accused. Currently, the entire faculty of this school, janitorial staff included, has been replaced, and in order for each individual faculty member to keep his or her job, each must complete a rigorous special training. Even then, officials say that most, if not all of the staff of Miramont Elementary will be relocated to different schools in the area.
Is a murder-suicide. The latest report is that minutes before the blaze, he injured his sons with a hatchet. John Powell then set his house on fire with both kids inside. CNN reports that the Washington man was a suspect in his wife's disappearance, so this means the case may never be solved. Powell was never charged with his wife's disappearance, but he was in a heated custody dispute with his wife's parents. According to his wife's sister, the kids were starting to, quote, open up and talking to my parents about what had happened that night, end quote. Before Powell set fire to his home, he sent his attorney an email saying, quote, I'm sorry, goodbye, end quote. In a statement by Bremer on Sunday, the Cox family asked for, quote, time, privacy, and prayers after the horrific events, end quote. We now go to Mackenzie Allen with a look at our local forecast.
Allen, and this is a look at your 5-day forecast. Tonight, expect to see some cloudy skies with a low of 39 degrees. Wednesday, it looks to have a little bit more of cloudy skies with a high of 57 degrees and a low of 43 at night. Thursday, we have a break from the cloud cover. Expect to see some sunny skies with a high of 63 degrees and a low of 45 at night. Friday, unfortunately, we are back into the good old winter rain with a high of 54 and a low of 36 degrees at night. Finally, Saturday, expect to see even more rain with a high of 54 and a low of 37 at night. That's your weather forecast for tonight and into the rest of the week. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks for that report, Mackenzie. After drawing suspicion from the Drug Enforcement Administration, several CVS pharmacies in southern Florida are under investigation after a store ordered more than 3 million oxycodone units this weekend. What bothers the DEA is that the store typically purchases 69,000 units, but due to excessive prescriptions of these products, total sales have shot up. As reported by CNN, DEA Special Agent Mark Troville said that during a press conference that, quote, each registrant pharmacy was filing prescriptions far in excess of legitimate needs of its customers, end quote. On Saturday, DEA agents raided both CVS stores, taking all oxycodone products off the shelves in fear that consumers or CVS employees may be using the substances for illegal purposes. Cardinal Health, pharmaceutical supplier of CVS stores, said that the accusations are ridiculous and that they strongly believe that the DEA is wrong on this account. While CVS is cooperating, it is not happy with the DEA's decision.
Karen Handel, a vice president in the Susan G. Komen Foundation, resigned from her position today after a controversy over funding for Planned Parenthood, reports CNN. The CEO, Nancy Brinker, said in a statement that she had accepted Handel's resignation and acknowledged, quote, we have made mistakes in how we have handled recent decisions, end quote. Handel was the driving force behind the Foundation's decisions not to renew the parts of their partnership with Planned Parenthood. They later reversed the decision after being forced with the opposition that included pressure from the lawmakers and international dissent. Brinker added, quote, Susan G. Komen for the Cure's mission is the same today as it was in its founding, to find a cure and eradicate breast cancer. We have made mistakes and now we have handled the recent decisions and take full accountability for what has resulted, but we cannot take our eye off the ball when it comes to our mission. It is now time for our final break of the evening, but we will have a look at more of your national and international stories in just a minute.
Welcome back to the Beaver News live on KBVR. After the order was given out to pull out of Afghanistan, the country claims yet another victim. This week, military officials mourn the loss of the highest-ranking officer ever to die in the Middle Eastern campaign, Brigadier General Terence Hiltner. Hildner, age 49, was found to have died of natural causes sometime during the night during his stay in Kabul, Afghanistan, on Monday. Colonel Noah Atchison, 13th ESC Rear Commander, said in a statement posted on the Fort Hood website, quote, "The unfortunate and untimely death of Brigadier General Hildner was a shock to our unit and families. Both forward deployed elements and we at home station are deeply saddened by this loss. We will all pull together through this difficult period and care for one another," end quote. Hildner started his military career after college, joining the military in 1984, and was given the opportunity to patrol the east-west German border line before its reunification in 1989. Details surrounding the general's death are still under investigation.
A strange illness is going around Roy, New York, where teens have been developing uncontrollable twitching and verbal tics, reports CNN. This started 3 months ago, and they are still wondering about it. Doctors have found a diagnosis of conversion disorder, saying that stress is the root of the physical problems. 14 teenage girls, a teenage boy, and a 36-year-old woman all have started displaying symptoms at the same time period. Doctors are trying to figure out the cause of conversion disorder and finding a way to cure it. These patients' lives are on hold until they can find one, hoping that one day they will find a cure. The latest update is at least 30,000 gallons of trichloroethane, an industrial solvent that's hazardous in high doses, can affect the nervous system, were dumped in the river in 1970 during the train crash in the outskirts of Leroy.
After a recent car bombing nearly 17 days ago, U.S. officials have shut down and pulled out all employees in the U.S. Embassy in Syria. After challenging local security forces, U.S. officials finally removed all diplomatic members of the Syria area, with thoughts that the environment was too dangerous for American citizens to be living and or working. State Department spokeswoman Victoria Nuland said in a statement, quote, "We, along with several other diplomatic missions, conveyed our security concerns to the Syrian government, but the regime failed to respond adequately," end quote. Despite the fact that no hard evidence has been given, it is believed that al-Qaeda is behind the recent car bombings, but further investigations are still underway. In the months before leaving the country, the American embassy urged all American citizens living in or visiting Syria to leave the country for fear of their own safety. Currently, Poland is holding the United States spot and is acting as proxy embassy for any Americans who may still need assistance.
Mexico's ruling party has chosen their first female presidential candidate, and if she wins, she'll be the first female president of Mexico, reports CNN. Vasquez Mota told CNN that gender gives her an edge in the presidential race. Mota has emphasized her desire to become president and pointed out her qualifications. In her nomination, Mota said, quote, "I do not want to be president because I am a woman. Being a woman is important, but it's not the most important. I want to be president because we have the talent and the platform and the vision of a Mexico that we want for all Mexicans, not only for a selected few," end quote. She has served as a federal congresswoman for 2 years before stepping down to focus on her presidential bid. With a controversial drug war and a sluggish economy, she will have a battle leading up to the July 1st election.
Captain Francesco Schettino, the infamous Italian cruise ship captain responsible for crashing a luxury cruise liner off the coast of Gicciolo, Italy, is back in court this week as lawyers discuss whether or not Schettino should be kept under house arrest. At the moment, Schettino is charged with possible manslaughter, shipwreck, and abandoning ship. Bodies from the crash are still being found. Total count, 16 bodies found, 16 bodies missing out of the total of 4,200 passengers and crew that were aboard the ship. Schettino's lawyers argue that the house arrest is not necessary since the act can't possibly committed twice and he does not pose a flight risk because of his recognizable face. As part of his defense, the captain's plea on account of abandoning his ship was that it was not his fault. According to his report, he was helping passengers into the lifeboats when he fell into one because of the listing of the ship. CNN reports that Captain Schettino could face a 15-year jail sentence if found guilty.
Australian authorities on Monday were asking residents to evacuate from areas of the Balonne River in eastern Queensland after the river swelled to a breaking 13.63 meters and is expected to crest overnight above 14 meters. CNN reports that Queensland has been dealing with heavy rain over the past week. Even some areas of the region are still recovering from floods that were over a year ago. The majority of the 3,000 residents have left the area by bus or aircraft. The flooding has already damaged hundreds of homes in Roma and another town, Mitchell.
A 6.8 magnitude earthquake hit the Philippines Monday at about 70 kilometers off the Philippine island of Negros. The earthquake has killed at least 15 people, according to CNN. 29 more people were missing after a landslide in the city of Jihonagan. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology issued a level 2 tsunami alert for the areas along the Tanan Strait between Negros and the neighboring island of Cebu. The alert, just below the highest tsunami alert of level 3, which required evacuation of the affected areas, was later lifted after an observation period. CNN reports that no tsunami warning was issued for the wider Pacific region or Hawaii. And now we go to Sam Nicholas for an update on sports.
Thanks, Hayden. Women's basketball team won their 4th straight conference game on Saturday behind a career day from Erlesia Marchbanks. The senior guard and Salem, Oregon native scored a career-high 22 points and grabbed a game-high 10 rebounds while leading the Beavers to a 62-49 victory over Utah. Marchbanks also chipped in 4 assists and had 5 of OSU's 8 steals. The team's 4-game conference win streak is a feat that hasn't been achieved at Oregon State for 11 years. The Beavers will try to extend that streak when they travel to Pullman this Thursday to battle Washington State. The Oregon State men's basketball team also turned in a strong performance on Saturday, riding their suffocating defensive effort to a 76-58 win over Utah in Salt Lake City. The Beavers forced the Utes into 23 turnovers and had 16 steals in the contest. Head coach Craig Robinson said of the team's defensive pressure, quote, "Historically, defense has been the best part of our game. This year, because we have been so prolific on the offensive end, our defense has gotten a little bit less attention and less focus. So it's excellent to see these guys play and be able to switch in and out of defenses the way they are supposed to and force the other team into turnovers. That's how you get good," end quote. Junior Joe Burton turned in an all-around effort for the Beavers with 8 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and a career-high 6 steals. Jared Cunningham led Oregon State in scoring with 20 points and added 4 steals of his own. The Beavers have now won 4 of their last 5 conference games. The team will look to continue their recent success on the court when Washington State Cougars come to Gill Coliseum on Thursday. The 8th-ranked Oregon State gymnastics team continued their domination in the gym on Friday, beating number 21 Washington 195.975 to 194.675 in Seattle. All-American junior Michaela Stambaugh won the all-around for the 2nd consecutive week with a combined score of 39.35 in the meet, while teammates Leslie Mack and Brittany Harris were close behind in 2nd and 3rd overall. The Beavers have beaten the 49-point mark on the uneven bars in every meet this season and are currently ranked number 3 in the nation in that event. Next up on the schedule is the team's only California road trip of the season as the Beavers take on UC Davis this Friday. And that's your Tuesday night sports report.
We want to thank you for joining us this evening. Make sure to join us again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on Channel 26 KBVR.